So I am back to do another segment of this vlog of what mental health really looks like. Little update on my life. I'm waiting to go back to work. I am waiting for my new anxiety medication to kick in more. I'm waiting for the side effects that make me sleepy to go away. I'm waiting for SSI to hopefully accept me so that I don't have to focus as much on trying to work to get an income and can focus more on getting better. Today I wanted to talk about the mental health system, the way the hospitals work, because realistically, while all of our technology is getting better, the mental health system probably hasn't changed in about 20 years. So I'm not going to name the hospital that I went to, but it's supposed to be one of the best ones, specifically where I live. Oh my gosh. These meds are killing me. And the number of negative experiences that I've had and the number of negative experiences I've seen other people have just proves that they don't know what they're doing or how to handle things. First off, for me, for many negative experiences, I have like PTSD from being in the hospital because they don't know how to deal with other people, because other people will start screaming or whatever randomly, and instead of trying to help them, they just wind up pinning them down, shooting them up with Ativan or something, and it's not. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. That is not what is helpful. It time again takes the person out of crisis, but not in a way that's helpful for the person. It just knocks them out as they're pinned down to the bed, and they want the person to sleep. They want the person to be tied down, fall asleep, and then when they wake up, they can be calm enough to be unrestrained. That's not, like, I understand, as someone who also works in the medical field, that sometimes you have to restrain somebody, but when someone's trying to explain to you why A, B, or C is making them triggered and nobody's listening, like, kind of seems wrong to me, to just take the easy road out, get some people in there, tie them down, shoot them up with some drugs, and then watch them pass out. For me, I've had quite a few negative experiences. My most recent stay at the hospital by where I live, I was almost chastised by the doctors for thinking that I had bipolar disorder, when we've known I suffered from bipolar disorder since I was about 12. And they told me it was borderline personality disorder. And I sat down and they were like, oh, we think you also suffer from generalized anxiety disorder. And I was like, yeah, pardon my French here, but no shit. Like, we've known this for my entire life that I suffer from anxiety. Anxiety disorder was the first thing I was ever diagnosed with. So for you to sit here and pretend that I don't know what it is, like, a little annoying. So, they changed the medications up. They lied to me. I was on lithium for 7 years. Anything you're on for 7 years, you're going to have withdrawal symptoms, specifically stuff that your body gets used to. With lithium, you have to get blood levels done to make sure that your body is not at too high of a level or too low of a level for it to be therapeutic. So I knew there was going to be some withdrawal. I mean, it even says if you stop taking it randomly that you can suffer seizures. And I started having withdrawal. I was really shaky. I was hot and cold. I was throwing up a lot. I had a lot of, really bad diarrhea. I've passed out a few times. It just wasn't a good situation, and they lied to me and told me it was just anxiety. I went to a second hospital more recently that's a few hours away, and they're trained. They know how to deal with this stuff more, and they took me off Seroquel, which also is a really hard withdrawal. And they kept giving me Klonopin because the Klonopin helps take away the symptoms of the withdrawal. And they told me, you're going to withdraw from this, but if you feel the symptoms of it, we can give you Klonopin. They could have done that for me at the hospital closer to me with the lithium, but instead they told me it was anxiety, told me they looked it up online and that it was just anxiety, that there's no withdrawal symptoms associated with lithium. I went home and looked it up. There's a ton. My psychiatric nurse practitioner I was working with at the time was shocked that they told me that I was not going through withdrawal, because it very, very clearly was withdrawal. And so there's just, and that's just a few things that happened when I started to freak out. They didn't really have any good ways to help. They don't have any, you don't get treated, you get watched in the hospital. Treatment is for something you do outside the hospital, but when you're struggling to stay safe, it's hard to see that treatment isn't in place. Like, you don't get to go to therapy, you don't see a therapist or anything like that, so it doesn't make sense. Like, how are you just supposed to wait out the not safe part? Like, that's something that doesn't make sense to me in my head. Just FYI, I have a nose ring. I'm not randomly picking my nose. But yeah, so there's a few different things. There's, I have seen a few people who had some pretty nasty side effects from the medications, and the nurses and doctors there didn't want to believe that the person was actually having side effects from medications. They thought it was just something else going on. Literally, my friend started having super, super bad edema in her feet, which wound up being a side effect from a medication, and they told her to wait until she got discharged to get checked out. As soon as she got discharged, they did immediate blood work. They did immediate, heart tests. They thought that she was going into heart failure because of the edema in her feet. And it wound up being a side effect from a medication that they put her on in the hospital. They wouldn't even, check her out because it wasn't technically a psychiatric issue, even though it was caused by a psychiatric medication. And they knew the medication could cause this, and they didn't want to, deal with it. So that really pissed me off. And they'll look through your records. This happens anywhere. They'll look through your records and see, if someone has a history of, drug abuse or something. They'll think the person is just faking pain to try to get painkillers. So, if someone's having really bad chest pain, they won't even check them for a heart attack. They'll just, that's what happens in the psych ward. They think you're just trying to get drugs. So, that's it's a big issue. And I know it's not only happening here, because I've heard so many stories of people who go to so many different hospitals, and there's just nobody watches the patients the way that they're supposed to. I literally had another patient come up to me and punch me in the arm, and had multiple people watching me, and multiple people who worked there who saw it. Nobody said anything to the other patient or me, and I was literally sitting there going, ow, that hurt, can you not do that, don't touch me, you're not allowed to touch people, and nobody said anything. The next day, I had a bruise the size of his fist on my arm. He came up and pinched me in the same person, same spot, and still nobody seemed to believe me, and so I went up to my nurse, who hadn't seen it, and was like, yo, so-and-so punched me yesterday, today he pinched me in the same spot, look at this bruise that I have to show. And like I said, I had a bruise probably this big, and obviously you don't know what's going on with every patient. In this case, this person had not been taking his medication, had been there for a while, so they were kind of we'll try to talk to him, but we're not sure how much we're going to get through to him. But, so it was just a really rough place to be. It's not like people are constantly getting assaulted there. It's just, it's not managed well. It's not, a lot of the nurses are really, really caring, but they're also able to sit behind the desk and not pay attention to stuff. And, if one person is doing something that's inappropriate, everyone gets, not punished for it necessarily. We had a woman who was putting sugar in her ginger ale and making it explode and go everywhere, and so nobody got access to coffee, sugar, ginger ale, anything without having to ask for it and having to have one of the staff members get it for them. So it's just little things like that. And even after the woman left, they still wouldn't put it back out. And so it might not seem like a huge deal. Like, you probably, some people might think, like, you're there to get treatment. Everyone's there to get treatment, which is completely understood. But, like, if I'm there to get treatment, I shouldn't have other patients touching me while the staff sees it and says nothing. I shouldn't have to not be getting treatment when I'm trying to get treatment, like, they're there for safety. That's what we say in my house, if you have to go to the hospital, it's because you're not safe and you're not capable of keeping yourself safe on your own. Because the hospital, they're not going to give you therapy. They're not going to treat you anyway that you can't do yourself. And if you're there for 10 days, it literally feels like you're there for like 3 months. Like, the days there go so slow. There's nothing to do. There'll be groups, but like, the groups are boring. They wake you up early. If you miss breakfast, they come and get on you about it. If you want a snack or whatever, you have to ask the staff member for, like, if they have a free second, if they can go and get it for you. And they treat people differently, too. If there's someone there who's obviously, like, a little bit more gone than the other person and they get upset, like, they just try to calm down the person. But if there's someone like me who is obviously really with it, but, like, is struggling internally, is struggling mentally, and you get upset, then they come back at you and you get in trouble, basically. Like, it's just this whole, like, mess. So I would really love to see that change. I would absolutely love to see that system change. Because, like I said, I really don't know how much it's changed in the past 20 years. I know I've been in and out of the hospitals where I live for about 7-8 years. Nothing's really changed. I know that the hospital I went to, that's a few hours from my house, does stuff really differently, and the patients have more access. Like, you can have drawstrings on your pants. They let you have food whenever you want it. Like, there's an open kitchen. They give you responsibility, but it's also like they only take patients who they know they can help. So it's a little bit of a difficult situation. But it definitely has a better approach to how to deal with mental illness. So my reason for posting this video is just the hope that someone sees this and either knows that they're not alone if they have gone through something like this. They have gone through a mental health hospital stay, and stuff has gone wrong. Know that you're not alone. Like, almost anybody who's gone through a stay can tell you, like, it's not a vacation. It's not paradise. Like, you're gonna have to fight tooth and nail to get what you need. You're gonna have to fight with the people there so that people stop, not harassing you, but the other patients can be kind of rude. Sometimes the workers there can be kind of rude. They won't give you what you need, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna have to fight for advocating for yourself, for standing up for knowing what you believe in. If you have outside providers, they'll talk to them, but I literally talked to my outside providers after, and they were like, they weren't listening to us. They just wanted to diagnose you as one thing and said the other thing wasn't there, which was really annoying. And also, for people who have not gone through this, for them to understand that when someone comes out of a mental hospital, calling them crazy makes them feel worse, because they were there. Like, they've seen even worse people who are worse off. Like, you calling them crazy doesn't help the situation, because all they feel is, like, this desperation that, like, they're not completely better, and they're wondering if they should have, like, stayed in, but they know that if they stayed in, like, it could have gotten worse, and they're just trying to survive for the day. So it's a really big struggle once you leave, but it's also, like, an even worse struggle when you're in there. And to get in there is a whole different story. You have to wait. I think my maximum was 18 to 20 hours to have the whole process finished, but my maximum to be even seen by the doctor once you're in the psych ED, which is like this big area with like a bunch of locked doors, and like the bathroom doors don't lock, and the TVs are behind like big plastic screens and stuff. I've waited 6 hours before to see the doctor, but I've also had points where I wait 6 hours, and within that 6 hours I've got a room and I'm about to go up to the floor. So, you know, it's different every time. But like I said, I really just want people to understand that if you've gone through this, you're not alone. But if you haven't gone through this, it's a horrible system. So if you know someone who's gone through it, like, bless their soul, because it is like you've gone to hell and come back, and you feel a lot weaker, but you also feel stronger after you've come back. So like I said, if you've gone through it, you're not alone. If you haven't gone through it, but you know someone who's gone through it, make sure you tell them how much you appreciate them, because they fought tooth and nail to not only get the help that they need, but to get out of that system, out of that hospital, to be able to be where they are today. And if you don't know anybody who's gone through it, but you are watching this video because you're curious, leave me a comment, because people always have questions about what it's like in the hospital, and I don't know what to talk about necessarily, about what people's questions are like. Leave me a comment and I'll touch base as to what the questions are, but realistically, all you need to know is that unless you really, really, really need to go, the hospital system for mental health is lacking, and it's not where it should be, and it's horrible. It's not what it needs to be, and it's not a fun place to be. So, thanks for watching. Signing off.